Welcome to Trainer Tip, talking about maximizing your stretch and your form. What are we talking about? There is a series that we are sitting lateral or sideways, and we have to get into this position so that we start to move our upper body. So Cassie here is going to demonstrate some different sitting options if you're sitting in this side position. So she'll anchor down. She can have a cable in each hand. She'll take a seat. I'm going to review this. For the trainer, it might be a review. For you at home, here is the way I would like for you to progress your different challenges with respect to balance before you even start the movement pattern. I'm going to ask her to go wide with the legs, with her feet on the floor. That's called self-spotting. I'm just, for purposes of demonstration, I'm going to have her elbows into her side, and she's just going to do a torso rotation. She's going to continue with this movement pattern. From this position, if she felt like, oh, I can do this, I don't need to keep my feet on the floor, this is a great incline level, then I might have her bring her feet up, and now she has more resistance. Her feet will still remain a little bit wide, and that's still giving more of a base of support. I'll bring her feet down, I'll have her legs come together, her toes will be down, and this might be a step 2 or a step 3. So depending upon now, I'm going to be thinking decreasing the base of support, which will require more stabilization. The cue to progress will be lighten your load through your feet, visualize picking them up. If I haven't already taught her the wide with the legs up, I'll do that now. Otherwise, I'll have her pick up her legs and extend out. Oftentimes, as a trainer, I'll immediately see a hinge backward, a tucking under. I'll see immediate compensation for either lack of flexibility or mobility or an inability to maintain the trunk control. If that's the case, I have to think about what do I need to do to set that person up for success. Number 1 may be to have her anchor down. And if it's a flexibility, I might just have her do what we call a mermaid position. That requires her to anchor down. She'll take one leg behind her and one leg will cross in front. Now you're thinking flexibility, are you kidding me? A man will definitely say this. This requires a lot of hip flexibility, but you do take out the hamstrings. So this is one option. Option 2 may be to anchor down, and she takes this leg and brings it out in front. And either it can rest on top of the ankle or it can rest out to the side for more support, and she can continue the same movement pattern. It is up to the participant if they'd rather have the foot closest to the tower to be crossed or the foot closest to the base to be crossed. Same applies to the mermaid. Another sitting position will be to move the person from this supported base of support to anchoring down into a kneeling position. She'll step back toward me. She'll make sure when you cue people kneeling, and make sure for you at home, you want to kneel with your knees closest to the edge. As you're adjusting your position up, you always want to maintain that anchoring down so that you have that stabilization. Anchoring, again, is when you hold the handles and you knuckle down. Now, this is definitely a more advanced position. So if you're feeling, I don't want to do this position, then you anchor down, you transition to sitting on your heels. You can go a wider base of support for a little bit more support, or a narrow, and then you can do the same movement pattern here. So play around with different positions and see how that changes the exercise for you. So that's about form. I have one more thing. You're going to anchor down and you get to step off this way. With respect to form, a lot of times people say they feel like they're too much on an incline, especially when you start to increase the levels to a higher position. The ability to adjust the glide board up is a wonderful, wonderful new tool. So if anyone you feel is a little bit cockeyed or they're really struggling to maintain more of an upright position and you have that adjustable glide board, place the adjustable glide board there. On the other hand, if you don't have that ability, then maybe propping the hip up might help that person and allow for that a little bit more support. You can try that at home as well. So you get to anchor down. You're going to pick whatever position you want. I'm going to say sitting. Okay. And you can just go wide with your legs. Okay. And I'm going to give her the ability to self-spot. So one of the exercises that we do is we pull out and then we allow the body to go overhead. So we pull out and then we went overhead with the stretch. This is a big stretch. Oftentimes, if we want to maintain that stretch, It's nice, but it's too much to bring yourself back from this fully lengthened position to bring the arm back overhead. So allow your arm to sweep down in front and then return. So it looks like this. You sweep the arm out to the side, go as high as you feel comfortable. You can go overhead. In front of the face is a little bit easier. And then bring the arm down and then rotate back toward the tower. That gives you a protective base. As you feel comfortable, you can start to pull overhead. You must remember that you are a very lengthened position. If it's too much of a stretch, or you're really going for the stretch, definitely bring the arm a little bit in front of you and release some of that stretching component before you bring the arm over and then back around. So that's one thing I want to tell you about with this series. Another exercise we're doing is the tricep press, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the form there. So, Cassie, I'm going to have you anchor down. You're going to stand up and then face the base. You're going to straddle, take a seat, and I'm going to have you self-spot, so that means you'll keep your feet on the floor.
Okay.
So when you have the adjustable glide board, the nice element is that when someone's sitting away from the tower, I can actually challenge more hamstring ability by having this board up. But because I'm being nice today, I'm going to have her stand up.
Okay.
I'm going to allow the board to come down. So tricep press is I would like for you to scoop up and then turn your palms down. Bend the elbows and then press away. In the routine, Cassie's going right into what we did, was that you hinge a smidgen forward, the elbows come back, and then you do a tricep extension. You basically straighten the elbows from here and then you bend the elbows from here. Oftentimes, we see a head jolting through. We see a lot of shoulders up, forward flexion of the body. We're really trying to get there, and all that's pinching off nerves. It's creating tension. You're missing the element of the exercise. The element is first to stretch. If you feel like this is too much and you've gotten too far into the stretch, keep this and just bend your elbows into your sides. So you'll separate your hands and you'll just draw your elbows down into your sides. So that's one thing you can do. If you get that stretch and you get really far back, I prefer you, whenever you're in that maximal stretch position, this goes for any of the exercise, you release part of that stretch and then you come back out of it. To start the exercise, especially because the flexibility is required a lot in the latissimus, which is your back muscle, your triceps, start it here. Be able to see your elbows. Maintain your elbows still in space and just let the arms come back. Gradually bring the arms up so where the elbows are aligned with the shoulders. Again, if you have this element down and you feel like it's super easy, you can start changing around how the person's sitting. I'm going to have your arms come down by your sides because I'm not going to change you when you're up there. You can have their legs out straight, which requires a lot of hamstring flexibility. But it's easier than that of sitting on the floor or with a parallel glide board. She can bend her knees a little bit and maybe go diamond with the legs. Or she can straddle a little bit. You can sit crisscross. I'm not going to necessarily recommend kneeling position just because that requires a lot more stabilization factor and you have a really big force coming behind you. And unless you're with the trainer and unless you have someone spotting you, it's a position that I prefer you rather to stay more sitting with your legs staggered or crossed, somewhere where you feel you can still maintain that spinal erect position.